Hi, it's Kinga. I wanted to give you sort of a step-by-step kind of overview of what goes on in the curriculum and what you can expect. So, a little bit about the why you've reached out to me, what's going on with you. You're probably having cravings and this strong compulsion to drink. Um, the cravings and the compulsion to drink, that being stuck in that cycle is probably leaving you with feelings of failure. You feel like you are enslaved to the drink, feelings of what's wrong with me. You're spending your money on alcohol. The alcohol is chemically affecting your body. It's doing organ damage. And one of the little known facts about alcohol is that it is the only drug in everything that's classified as a drug. Okay, every narcotic you can think of, caffeine, everything. Alcohol is the only one that affects all of your major organs. Okay, from brain to guts, like all of it, everything in between. So you might be feeling some organ stuff starting depending on how far along you are on your alcohol use journey. Another reason you might have reached out to me is maybe you're feeling a lot of shame. Maybe you're feeling some fear, shame around the level of your alcohol use, what happens when you're using alcohol. Maybe you've noticed you're drinking differently than other people and there's some shame around that. Again, it's that feeling of there's something wrong with me. And the fear that comes along with that can be pretty paralyzing. Fear of, one day you'll lose your family, you'll lose your job, one day you'll lose your life. And I know for a lot of women who've got children, that is a non-negotiable. Like, that cannot happen. But the flip side of it is, how enjoyable is life with you right now, right? So that's where that fear of, well, my family's just going to get up and walk away one day, right? They'll be like, I'm done. So a lot of shame, a lot of fear surrounding that. Now, one of the benefits or one of the opportunities from taking this program is that alcohol, the further you move in this program, alcohol will lose its appeal as your go-to way to feel good or to feel different. You will have a newfound sense of self-respect, of self-admiration. You will be saving a ton of money, and the money that you're not spending on alcohol, you're going to feel more inclined to spend it on things that are good for you, like this program, for example, but other things as well, right? You're no longer using your money for bad. You have an opportunity now to put it towards good. Another one of the benefits or the opportunities that are available to you is that you will be able to be a nurturing presence in your family's life. You will know how to nurture yourself and can therefore pass that on to the people that are important to you. You are going to notice that you are way more present and way more connected in your life, whether it's, at home with your family, at work, with your friends, whatever. You'll also notice that you're going to be way more productive with your time, and you're going to be a little bit more careful with how you offer your time. It's no longer going to go to things that are harmful to you. And last but certainly not least, you will give yourself a really strong chance of repairing all of the internal physical damage that's been done by prolonged alcohol use. So There are a few principles to keep in mind. And again, in the curriculum, we'll go over these in very thorough detail, so you have a really good handle of how they work and how to apply them every day. One of the principles, there's 5 that I have so far, but as someone that also suffers with moderation issues, that might jump to 10 very quickly. But the first 5 principles are that alcohol abuse is a symptom of deeper pain. And the sort of subset of that is that when you heal your past, you heal your present. And when your present version of self is healed, your future self, she's laughing. Forget it. Best life ever. That girl, right? The second principle is that alcohol causes a chemical disruption in your body, and that needs to be addressed. And this is where some of the group stuff comes in handy, is because you may have noticed that you are feeling very anxious, very restless, very, like, the way I look when I'm anxious is, that feeling, sort of frantic energy. A bunch of that will be attributed to the physical experience that your body is having without alcohol. A hangover would be a really good example of that. You wake up like with the anxiety, and partially that is, psychological, and oh no, I've done it again, or oh no, what happened last night, or oh no, I overslept. Yes. But part of it is physical. It's physiological. There's no escaping it, because, you're not the exception to science, I don't imagine. So a big chunk of that is physiological, where the alcohol is leaving your system and your system is starting to really pick up the pace. And so that's why, sometimes you're shaky in the morning. So we need to go through all the physical stuff that alcohol causes to your body, so you can kind of separate, okay, well, this is sort of normal, right? This is me having a physiological, science-based experience versus the psychological things that are necessary to also address as you move further along in the curriculum. So, which brings us to the third principle, is that the new you will feel uncomfortable for a bit. So you're going to be thinking different things about yourself. You're going to be looking at the world a little bit differently. You're going to be really focused on the way that you show up in the world, and frankly, the way the world shows up for you. And so you are really fostering on like a cellular level this new version of yourself, and that can be uncomfortable. You've never been this version of you, so of course it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. The fourth principle, and this probably should have been number 1, but here we are, is that you can't do this alone. And you don't have to, but I know that there is a lot of isolation when it comes to alcohol use, right? Some of us were drinking alone at the very end. So the idea of, okay, well, you went from being completely alone to, guess what, you're in a group now, can be a little bit overwhelming. But I assure you, you can spend, the first couple of days sort of lurking in the Facebook group or lurking in the coaching calls, but the comfort and the community and the outpouring of love and absolute acceptance for you will probably be an unprecedented thing in your life, and you, I guarantee, will feel the compulsion to speak up and to tell your story and to share your wins and to ask your questions. I promise. Which kind of slides nicely into the fifth principle, which is that the new you doesn't want to hurt you anymore. A new version of you will emerge as you move through this program that is going to want to nurture yourself and love yourself, and is going to know how to do it because of what you've learned, both from the curriculum, but also what you've learned and witnessed from the other women in the program. And the new version of you is not going to want to do any harm to this version of you. She's, in fact, going to go out of her way to make sure no more harm is done to her. And that is a really, really special and unique way to be. Okay, so cool story, Kinga. How are we doing this? Okay, so again, in a very broad sort of way, the way that we're going to do this is I initially want you to think of yourself as two people. You're going to separate yourself into two parts. One is the alcohol, and the second version is the new you. So this is the woman that you know, the ideal version of you that you're picturing in your mind and who you're striving to be. And we're going to separate those two because they are not the same. They've never been the same, but of course you don't know that, okay? There's two versions of you now, and one of them must starve and die. Which one's it going to be? Probably the alcohol, right? So instead of giving the alcohol everything that it's asking for, this is the second part, we're actually going to listen to what the message is, okay? Because if we know that alcohol is a symptom of deeper pain, the compulsion, the craving, it's always trying to tell us something. And usually it's something right now is not right. And so we're going to listen to what right now is not right. And that's the stuff we're going to reflect on, okay? So as we're starving this version of your, personality, we're also going to be listening very carefully to what it's trying to tell us. Because don't forget, for a long time, alcohol was your best friend. It was your confidant. But at some point, it turned on you. And so it still has a message, and we still need to figure out what exactly it was trying to do. We just can't feed its every need anymore because it's hurting us. Make sense? So the third thing, naturally, is that we're going to act on the message, not on the bottle, okay? So we're going to take the message that we've sort of extracted from what alcohol has been trying to tell us and what alcohol has been trying to do for us all these years, and we're going to act on the message. And this is where a lot of the more practical coaching comes into play. This is the day-to-day stuff. This is the, I feel really out of place at social gatherings. We know what helps that, don't we? We know what helps that. Unfortunately, the root cause is, low self-confidence, low self-esteem. I'm not good enough. I'm not like every other person in here. Those kind of things. So that's the stuff that we get to address together rather than covering that up with more alcohol. Okay. So I think that is the absolute vaguest, most general way that I can put forth to you what's about to happen for you in this program. And I hope that you found that helpful. I am very excited to be working with you and with all the other wonderful women. And I will see you in the coaching calls.